Hi, welcome to Clitorally Speaking, the podcast. I'm Michelle Doherty.
And I'm Emily Lane.
We are BFFs dedicated to bringing you conversations between girlfriends over a bottle of wine.
Oh, I am so excited about the wine part.
Oh, me too. So pull up a chair, grab your glass,
And let's get talking.
Hey, Emily.
Hey, Michelle. There is my favorite intro.
I know. It's because we have these headphones on today that I thought, I would go ahead and give you the hey.
Give me a little old school action.
Yeah, give you a little season one
I
intro.
love it. Yeah, it's great.
How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you. I'm really glad to be here and happy to have more wine and have more wonderful conversation.
More cheese, more wonderful guests.
I know. Our spread just keeps getting bigger with each other.
Okay, listener, she's referring to the amount of food that we're eating, not our actual spreads. I want everyone to know that. Some of us are a little sensitive. But yes, we do. Our selection.
That's true. Our edibles.
The selection is getting a little bit more diverse than just sliced American cheese and white bread. Here, let's not get wasted on the show.
That's right. How about you? How are you doing, Michelle?
I'm doing really well.
You had a comedy showcase this last weekend, your first public comedy showcase.
I did. I was part of an improv group this past weekend. It was so much fun.
How did it feel?
Like I was supposed to be there.
Right.
Yeah. It's just, I really love improv, and I love the support and the being able to perform with other veteran, or not other veteran, but really veteran players was a lot of fun.
I love that.
And,
that's great.
Yeah. And I'll be doing it again in a couple weeks.
Well, I did get a chance to catch it on Facebook. It was the shows, and it was just great. You could tell it was a good crowd, and everybody seemed to be on.
Right. I wonder if we could share it to our Clitorally Speaking page.
I bet we could.
If there's no attachment issues.
Yeah.
Well, let's look into that.
We will.
More people that watch, the better. You know how that is.
Absolutely. And speaking of people watching, today's episode is going to be extra fun for our listeners because they're going to get to watch our guest in a little bit of a different manner. Do you want to introduce her?
Absolutely. We have with us today a friend of ours from Kansas City, Missouri, Rachel Ellyn. She is joining us via Zoom. And we are so excited to have her. Listeners, we have concentrated mostly on women who are in St. Louis. We did have one guest who was not in St. Louis last season, and that was Dana Powell. And so we're branching out some more, and we're reaching across the state and including this phenomenal woman, Rachel Ellyn, to our podcast today. So Rachel, say hello to everybody out there in listener land.
Hello, everybody. I got to tell you, I just had a Milli Vanilla moment because I got to hear your show. I heard it was great, wonderful. And I only reside in Kansas City, but I was in St. Louis for 5 years.
Right. Yeah, we actually lived on the same street, but we missed each other
at the same time.
By a year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Across the street from where I live now. So that's kind of pretty cool about how small the world is.
Really weird, small world. Yeah.
Yeah. But I met Rachel several years ago, about 5 years ago, when I was suffering from, the latest heartbreak. And I had actually I was flying back from visiting that boyfriend at the time, and I was having to have a layover in Kansas City, and another friend in town, Kathy, whom we have heard on the show before, she called you and said, "Hey, I have a heartbroken girlfriend getting off the plane. Can you go pick her up?"
Go pick her up and give her drinks.
And give her drinks, and you did just that. Not only drinks, but hot wings too. And it was like the perfect thing I needed, because otherwise I would have just gone to my hotel room and
Wallowed in drinks without girlfriends.
Right. Because there was no Clitorally Speaking the podcast for me to listen to and drink along with. But so in that conversation 5 years ago, I learned that Rachel is an author. She has lived all over the world, including my street in St. Louis, and that she has pursued her dreams and sometimes had she liked to call herself a serial divorcee. So she has perfected the art of divorcing.
How many divorces have you had?
3 divorces.
Okay.
4 husbands.
Oh, okay.
So I am a hopeless romantic because I believe it will work. And I have now come to the age where I have figured out most of it. And part of the marriage ceremony is I have the ability to kill you, so I don't ever have to be a divorcee again.
Oh, fantastic. That's another way to not up your streak on that. Well, and I remember asking you, because you were not married to your man when we met 5 years ago, and you were like, "Well, Michelle, the secret is you have to find somebody who absolutely adores you and will do anything for you." And I'm like, "All right, yeah,
that sounds like a great plan."
And preferably one that has money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
At this age, for me, money is a good retirement plan, a good stock portfolio, lots of cash in the bank. That really helps.
Sure. You could definitely expand on what's the adage, like marry first time for love, second time for money. Although like, since you've been married 3 times, maybe there's love and then hope and then money.
I think it was love at least twice. And then, the third might have been, oh, he's fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the fourth was definitely, I can't see my life without your laugh.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first time for me when I looked at someone and said, my life is a lot better with you in it. So
what is his name?
So I'm like, Scott.
Scott. Okay, sweet.
Is he the one that brought you the wine?
Yes, and the vodka and the scotch. And he just bought me 2 bottles of gin today. I mean,
Yeah, he is a provider.
He's a keeper. I like him. And he knows that I'm the princess of the pea. I like my sheets done every 3 days. And he has kind of a 24-hour job where he's on call a lot. So he's my sheet washer.
Wow.
I know. The things that kind of get your heart going pitter-patter.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's like I just get excited if like the trash gets taken out.
Already done. I know. You're like, I want lists. It's really interesting after 50. Really interesting.
Breathing is still
a qualifier.
Still a part of that list. Breathing, healthy. Yeah. Well, anyway, we're taking a sip, all of us at the same time, taking a sip of our wine. And we have 2 different bottles that we're drinking here. Emily's going to introduce what we're drinking here in St. Louis. And then Rachel will have you introduce what you're drinking in Kansas City.
Yeah. So we're back in France, and we selected this bottle knowing that Rachel was going to be drinking a bottle and that's also French. So we thought, what do we have in our catalog of wines to choose from? So we went to the Rhone region, and this is made by Pierre LeGrand. It is a 2016, 60% Syrah, 40% Gamay. So this is a declassified wine because it's got that Gamay grape in it. It can't actually say like, this is from Cornas or, the specific region within Rhone. It is from Northern Rhone, but it has that Gamay grape, which is typical of Beaujolais. So it's really interesting when you get on the nose on this. I get that the Syrah qualities going on. I got that spice and that leather, a little bit of that forest mushroomy kind of floor going on. I'm getting some black currant, some dark cherry on the nose. And then on the palate, I'm getting some plum and blueberry and some violet. What about you, Michelle?
I'm sure our listeners are not going to be disappointed in the fact that I did not smell or any of that stuff at all.
No, I've been working my glass a lot more than you have yours.
Emily has been working her glass a lot more than I have.
Yeah, I've been getting some.
Emily could go to work for NASA. The way she can do that gyro is spectacular.
She takes this glass that has this large opening into the top, and she like swishes the wine around, and I feel uncomfortable if I'm not in like a full raincoat or something, because if I do it, it's going to splash.
It's just magic. Like, it doesn't go, it just swirls in a beautiful red. And I'm thinking,
yeah, it's scary.
Yeah,
and she's like, before the show, she's like, give it a swirl, Michelle. Give it a swirl. Yes. And I'm like, Emily, I'm going to spill. And I'm like, you do it.
And letting centrifugal force give it its, aerate it.
Watch everybody on YouTube. See how she does that?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm
like this.
Well, we did just open this right away.
Well, and I did say that I hope I like it by the time the show's over, because it'll have had enough time to breathe.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's there. I think it's fabulous. I am convinced that once it gets a little more air to it, it'll be more in the wheelhouse that you like. I also think that, it is one of those wines that'll work great with barbecue season, which is on our doorstep. And I think it is a great value wine. It's on sale right now at the Wine Merchant for $12.99. I do see this priced pretty typically in that $18 to $23 price point. So I'm going to get some bottles. And I think it being a 2016, still pretty young, it'll hang in there for a while yet.
Well, nice. That's Emily finds the silver lining in every bottle of wine that she I have such a much more discerning palate, right? That's, at least I'm going to stick with that. You can buy as many bottles of this as you want.
Okay.
I won't be.
You're not going to be fighting.
I'm not going to be fighting you for this. Now, at the end of the show, I might change my mind because I'll sat here and breathe a little longer. But this is like a pair of Fruit of the Loom panties that somebody gave you for Christmas that you didn't really ask for.
Oh, okay. Nor do you actually want to eat.
Nor do you actually want to eat. It doesn't matter how many times you wash them, they still suck. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I thought you were saying Fruit of the Loom. Like, I was thinking of like the...
No, Fruit of the Loom panties.
Oh, so I was thinking of, what are those edible panties? They're made with like... Yeah, they're like fruit rolls. They're actually made out of
God, no. I was talking about a pair of panties, or that when somebody thought you just needed more underwear for Christmas, and so they just
Okay. I was just with a friend who had his card hacked, and he was on the phone canceling the card, and he said, "What do you think I bought?" And so the card customer service says, "You bought XYZ." And so he, it's a guy. He's like, and he goes, "It was gorgeous women's underwear." And he goes, "Damn, I have good taste."
When my card got hacked a couple weeks ago, they bought pizza. So I ended up like calling my kids first and going, "Who said you could order pizza?" Without asking. And they're like, "We didn't do it." So, it's kind of funny. I wonder where was the last place that he had used his...
Around here, it's been gas stations. They have the...
Yeah. Oh. They hit, I think they hit the Quick Trip by my house.
And Quick Trip's really good about, monitoring all that. But I'm like, are you not like going up there and like forcibly touching the credit card holder? And he's like, no.
Yeah. Well, now every time I pump gas, I'm always like checking my balance and everything to make sure that it...
And now it makes it so easy. You get the balance alert. Oh, you just spent, XYZ at wherever. So,
So I'm not familiar with this. What's happening with the gas stations when you're...
It's a skimmer. They put this little piece on the top of the credit card company. Yeah, Rachel used to design shit. And it goes in and it reads the card before the actual credit card reads it. Oh. And so they get the credit card number. They get everything about the credit card. And it's typically at gas stations.
And so what does it look like?
It looks like whatever the gas station pump looks like.
Oh my.
It just sits on the front of it by, a fourth of an inch.
So be aware. We should research what that looks like and then share that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Practice your hand movements.
Okay, so jiggle it. You jiggle it a little bit.
You jiggle it. That's what the police tell you to do.
Okay.
Well, so I had pumped gas, and then, 7 hours later, I was getting a notification that somebody in Massachusetts had bought some pizza. And then I thought, oh, it must have been the Quick Trip. That's the only thing I'd done. And then just 2 days ago, I went to go get gas again, and I pulled up at the same Quick Trip, and I'm like, oh, look at all these, security labels they now have on all of their pumps. I think I got hit. And then I started thinking, I wonder,
There was a huge fuzzy taco thing that made the internet because there was some customer an employee was, every time you were paying, they were like swiping the card too. And so it all traced back to this fuzzy taco in Texas.
Oh,
interesting.
I'm not familiar with fuzzy taco. That does not sound delicious to me.
Sounds a lot like this wine I'm drinking.
Oh, and now, listeners, be warned. I think this is a delicious wine. It might be a little tight yet. It's true.
Again, a pair of panties that somebody else
like tight. I have never heard the word tight used with wine.
Oh yeah, sure. Emily uses that quite a bit, especially when she's referring to wines that need to be aerated for a while. We haven't even given the name of it.
I did.
What did you say?
Yeah, it was made by Pierre LeGrand, and that's pretty much all that's on. I mean, it says that on the label, it's Pierre LeGrand 2016.
Okay.
Syrah Gamay. I mean,
okay.
And then it says Vigneron Vallée du Rhône, so winemaker of Rhône, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
she studied French.
Rachel, what are you drinking that I wish I were drinking?
That is good stuff. Chateau, it's Roc de Segur, Segur. It's a Bordeaux.
Okay.
2011.
Oh,
yummy. Okay. Yeah, he's very yummy. He's been on. I typically go out to some of my kind of chef. What do you want to call them? Hardcore foodie friends, and they turn you on to what they've bought, and let me buy some from them. And so this one came out, I believe, of a friend's deal, and I went over and bought a case of mixed, and then I throw it up on my wall, or I throw it in the wine cellar, and I waiting around till I go, what do I want to drink? And so you guys said, what do you have? I'm like, snap, 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 snap.
Yeah, you had a nice collection.
Yeah. Oh, it's not been refilled. We're going tomorrow. One of the wineries here, or it's called Cellar Rat, one of the wine stores, does $100 case. And so you go, you pay $10, you taste all the wines that they have. And then if you buy a caseload, it's the $100 minus the $10. So.
Oh, very good.
I will be drinking again tomorrow night, but that's not normal.
So, this bottle of wine, what's it taste like, and what's its price point?
I couldn't tell you what the price point is. It's probably about $18, 18 to 20. Now that it's an 11, I have no idea because it's kind of yummy. But I am getting, I'm getting dark cherry and dark chocolate.
That does sound marvelous.
It is. It's really yummy, but it's just a typical Bordeaux. So
okay, that sounds great. Maybe you can snap a photo once this is all done and share it with us, and we'll put it up on our blog.
You don't mind that the label has all the wine drips on it, so you've drank it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
What? Are you okay?
I mean, maybe I'm just too hard on wines,
Well, you've gotten much more persnickety now that we've started to the podcast, which is great. Yeah. Your palate is really evolved.
And I mean, if I liked everything,
cheating. That is cheating.
What's cheating?
You're eating crackers.
No, it's cheese.
It's cheese.
Oh, it's cheese. It looks like a cracker.
Yeah, I think this is one of those wines that'll hold up really well with some food. So that's why I was feeding it over to Michelle. I'm like,
she's trying to make me have me change my mind.
I'm being the best advocate I can.
That it is an important thing to realize that not everyone's going to like the same thing you like, and they're not going to like it in the same degree that you like. I mean, my husband and I are completely opposites. He loves red wine. He just really doesn't like a white at all, no matter what it is. He'll drink it, but
he's drinking this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm drinking it, because it's here, and that's what we do on our show, and I'm not going to let the listeners down if I'm not drinking it. But I have to be honest.
Mm-hmm. You're a consummate professional.
At all times. Well, let's take a real quick break.
Yeah, and refill your almost empty glass, Michelle. Somebody who is maybe not enjoying this wine.
That glass is really.
I know.
Yeah. I don't like the wine. Go.
Imagine how much if I would be left if I did like the wine. We'd already had we'd have to end the show because it would be done.
I think you guys should drink 2 bottles of wine to your guest one.
Ooh, I'm not so sure that would work so well. People would not be able to understand our.
You do realize the name of the podcast is Clitorally Speaking, the podcast, which is hard enough to say. You don't want to completely screw it up the whole time. So we're going to take a real fast break and
refresh our glasses.
Be right back.
Sounds good.
Sam, could you drop the... Awesome. Are you already on top of that, aren't you?
Consummate professional.
Our panty. Fancy pants. I know, everybody. I have... My iMessage is off. I had it quit.
Yeah, it is.
Right. So I'm going to...
It weren't me.
Again.
Come on. Hey, you got to come around here, Pumpkin. Come on.
Oh, God. The person is the one to have with the wine.
What do I do? Just... Oh, hey.
Whoa. He saw Iggy Pop and he's like, who's that dog?
This is Pixie. And this is my 12-year-old.
I did. Oh, in preferences.
Okay.
Wow.
That's the one that she's spinning right now because she's angry.
Why is she so angry?
Play sound effects.
Because she doesn't get enough sex.
So Iggy Pop has a girlfriend, a toy that he entertains himself with every night before bedtime.
She does it with the cat.
Oh, wow. Poor cat. No, it's just interspecies. That's great.
What is
very open-minded.
What does Iggy Pop's toy look like?
It's kind of like a Dachshund. It's just as big as he is. And the neat thing about it is that he grooms her for 20 minutes first. So he has this whole he licks her first. And then he shags her for at least 20 minutes, if not a full 40 minutes. So he goes to town every night for an hour.
I have got to send you videos. I have my 12-year-old Chihuahua rat terrier licks the ears and then doesn't understand what his body's doing. And then he just walks around the room. Just
pumping air. Yeah.
But it's the whole licking of the ear and I love you. Wow. And then, oh my God, what the...
Yeah.
I have yet to see my dogs treat any of their stuffed animals in the manner that both of you have described.
Are you kidding me?
However, I will come downstairs in the morning and find that they have emptied all of their stuffed animals around various places in the lower level. So maybe they just have an really
orgy.
Big party, a dog orgy. And
it's a free-for-all. Yeah.
And then that they would explain why they're so tired.
Yeah, they're exhausted all day long.
Excuse me.
And then they go to town all night. Mm-hmm.
It was really funny when Iggy discovered it. I had him for, I don't know, several months. I mean, he was at least a year old when he first had his experience, and we were visiting a friend, and this friend was playing kind of keep away with his favorite toy, and then Iggy finally won it, and as soon as he won it, he was like, "This is mine," and he started shagging it, and then he was like, "Oh my God, I just discovered this great new thing," and for the next 6 hours tried every position, every speed, every just was like, "This is great." And he has never stopped.
so nice, Mom. It feels so nice.
It was better than television. We were just like, all of us, our mouths are like, oh my God, I can't believe what we're watching.
All my husband and I we'll just sit on the couch and go, all we can think of is she feels comfortable. She's furry, sweet, she's nice. And
yeah.
Who are we to stop love?
I'm all for it. It's like good exercise for
whatever manner it shows
Good
up.
exercise.
Should we roll back in?
Let's roll back in. Are you ready for us, Sam?
I don't know. I never feel better.
Sam's like, I don't know what we're going to talk about when they're actually like, live.
So I'll just give you like a thumbs up.
All right.
Okay.
And we're back.
We are back. I have a little bit more wine to drink here.
Yeah, and some lively conversation during our break. For those of you who love those podcast extras, I think you will really enjoy.
You're going to want to go to the YouTube on this one. I think we don't need to recap it.
No, not at all.
Summarize it at all.
I think.
No, but I can send you video.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we'll include that in with our blog.
We'll include it somewhere.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, Rachel, when we talked before, we also mentioned that you are an independent author, and you also, said that you were kind of at a point in your life where you haven't been able to write as frequently or at all lately. And I wanted to kind of just hit on a couple of those things that are keeping you from writing, or how are you trying to balance things? Because I believe you said that you are having to take care of your parents now as well.
Well, my father passed last March.
Oh, okay.
And it was Lewy body dementia. And we had gotten to the point about 3 years ago where my sister and I basically had to tell my mom and dad that, we love you, and I know you love Florida, and it suits your lifestyle so wonderfully, but you got to move.
So what is Lewy body dementia?
Lewy body is a very interesting part of dementia where if you know Alzheimer's, you lose something and you've lost it forever. So, and you start losing some like newer memories, and then you go back to losing maybe I don't know, the ability to cut your food, or maybe the ability to know where the knives and forks are kept, and you just keep kind of chunking away at your memory, and they never come back. Lewy body is like an electrical rack with switches, and today you wake up and you don't know how to tie your shoes and put on your underwear.
Okay.
And in an hour, you know how to tie your shoes and put on your underwear, but you don't know where the knives are kept and where the orange juice is. And in another hour, and you just never know. And so it's really hard with someone who has this type of dementia, because one, as a caregiver, a family member, you want to give them all the independence they possibly can, but you don't know what that is.
Right.
Whereas dementia and Alzheimer's, you typically know, okay, mom or dad is at the point where they can't walk. They can shuffle, but they really can't walk. They need a walker. Lewy body, it's just every hour is something different.
Right. And that becomes dangerous for the caregiver as well as the parent.
It does, absolutely. And I was really lucky. My father kept his health up. He was very vibrant. He wanted to run. He wanted to walk. He wanted to get out. But, you have to kind of work with these things. And, they always have these wonderful, we can put a watch on you and see where you are on our Apple phone and do all that. It's, if my dad had never worn a watch, he didn't want to wear a watch now. He had, there was just so many, you didn't want to lariat around him. And so it was an interesting progression for us as a family. And my sister and I had said, you get to go to Northern Virginia where my sister lives, or you get to come here to Kansas City where I live. I'm sorry, we're making you choose. And that was so immensely hard to say. I love you. I respect you. You are the be all and all. You are the person I've gone to all my life and said, what about this? What do I need to do? And called on your wealth of information to now turn around and go, you need to listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can do that when you're 17 or 25 and you got all the chutzpah in the world. But when you're sitting here at 55 going, I love you, but Dad, you don't remember. And he, you know, he still believed he could drive, and it was just hard. And then you see your mother, my mother, just, you know, basically shriveling down because of
stress, or under the stress.
And he would wake up and want to walk around, you know.
Right. Didn't matter what time of day it was.
So how many years, like when did you start to see the first signs, and how many years did he battle this?
If you knew my dad was this amazing athlete, and at his 70th birthday party, we went rock climbing.
Wow.
And he bested all of us. And I always see, there's my sister and I, there's only the two of us. And my sister said, yay, Dad wants to go rock climbing. Get your ass up there. I'm not getting my fat ass up there. So take my girls, take your kids, and go up, you know. And I did. And he was fine. And then, you know, you kind of get little, maybe it's like no big deal. When he was 77, we were ziplining through alligator-infested waters at one of these Florida parks. And
okay, hold on. You agreed to go ziplining and
again,
this was not the first time? So
my sister goes, get your ass up there.
I would never go ziplining over alligator-infested waters.
No.
Yeah.
I'm all,
Well, you're safety lined in. You're fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Haven't you watched those movies on Netflix? I mean, if anybody's going to fall off of the zip line, I'm going to be the one right there in the middle of the crocodile swamp.
It's not pretty.
No,
but
it wouldn't be.
And my kids ran out in front. Then my sister's children ran out. And then there was my father and I. And we got to the first tree where you had to take your safety line off and move it around the tree, clip it back on.
Sure.
Take your second line off and clip it back on. And my father took his first line off and went,
oh, he got confused.
He didn't know what to do with it. Huh?
My daughter was about 30 feet down from us, and she was like, I heard her go, holy shit. And I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
Right.
And so he completed the course. He completed, you know, halfway through the course when they can get off. And I had to do the second half, which was not pretty because then I had to go to a wedding in heels and a dress. And I couldn't sit. My thighs were like, and then we sat down with my mom and we said, what the hell? And she said, oh, you know, I was tired.
Were you concerned that he might have had a stroke like that when you were up there ziplining with him?
No.
And you knew it was something.
My grandfather had Alzheimer's or dementia. We're not exactly sure. And we've come to learn his mother, my great grandmother had it. And so we kind of immediately went to my grandfather and was like,
yeah,
pretty.
Right. Yeah. Michelle, do you have a history of Alzheimer's in your family?
No, not that we're aware of.
Yeah.
Nobody
That's
has
good.
had any of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that it won't affect somebody in my family.
Sure. Of course.
Not a pretty disease. Yeah. And you know, you can have it, you can not have it, you can get it. I mean, it's just crazy. But that's where
now, are you concerned for yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't remember shit now.
You do.
What am I going to be like in 20 years? I'm like,
or 10, or you know,
10, or tomorrow,
or after the podcast is over. I mean, seriously.
I'm like, oh my God, just keep feeding me wine. No.
So, are you doing anything to, like, from a preventative standpoint?
Okay. So, red wine is fabulous for you.
We're in good shape.
Okay.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Exercise, yoga, and all the damn phone apps I can get that are like, you know, numbers and
like
words, and letters.
Mind work, right?
And I'm not a big gamer, but yeah, that and languages, I'm trying to parlez-vous français and K and all that. And those little things that kind of connect all the brain cells together are what we're trying.
Yeah. I definitely have a history of Alzheimer's in my family, definitely on my mom's side. Pretty much so my grandfather had it, his 3 sisters all had some form of it. My grandmother had it. So it's definitely something I'm hyper aware of. It's so interesting because I've seen it where it can be frustrating to the person that's that's losing their skills. But honestly, like with my grandfather, it was actually more frustrating to the family around than it was to him. He was actually pretty innocent about the fact that these things were happening to him. It didn't really register with him, which is thankful. He remained pretty happy until his last day. And, I actually have a wonderful last memory of him. He had really gotten to the point where all of the skills were gone, and he was had really no memory of anyone. And I do remember seeing him and saying my final goodbye to him and saying, I love you, Grandpa. And he opened his eyes and grabbed my hand and he said, I love you too, Emily. And just the fact that everything was gone, but that moment he
had you.
He connected me.
Absolutely had you. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just I will never forget that moment.
Yeah, that's very special.
Really, it is. It's really special.
Yeah.
But so your parents moved up like 3 years ago. So is that what you said? So that was pretty fast.
What?
That was pretty fast. They moved up, and then he passed away pretty quickly after that.
My mother had a TIA, so she lost her sight in one eye for a couple hours. Thankfully, while I was on vacation with her, and we were just like, holy shit, you need to be around people who can take care of you. Because my sister in Florida, I'm out in Kansas City. My parents are down, or my sister in Virginia, they're Kansas City, Florida. We just can't drop everything and fly in. So it was hard because they had to say goodbye to a lifestyle where they just walked out their front door and walked everywhere and biked everywhere and had this wonderful weather and did everything. And they got stuck here in Kansas City with, they had lived here, and that's the reason I'm here.
It can be
because of them.
Yeah, because I was in Sacramento about to file for divorce, and my parents drove out there and said, my father, bless his heart, had the best way with words. He said, you can do it your way, or you can do it the right way. Get in the fucking minivan. Me and my boys drove across country in my parents' minivan, listening to Stephen King on writing and letting the boys pee out the door. They had a blast peeing out the door. They were young. They were like, "Oh my God, we could
stopping." The only time you stop is to get gas, right? And at that point in time, the ladies can pee, but otherwise, all the boys and all the men just like stick out the window.
So I got here. I had never lived here before. I had family here, but I had never lived here. I got here, and within 9 months, my parents had jettisoned to Florida and said, see ya later, have fun. And I was like, okay, here, we'll make the best of it. And this is honestly the first place I've ever lived where the saying, grow where you're planted, has actually meant something. I finally got to the place where I wasn't going, ooh, that looks so much better over there. Or that looks so much cleaner. Or, oh, that looks like an amazing life I'd like to try. And I got here and I was like, let's try this shit. And now I've been here since a week after 9/11.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, Kansas City is a lot of fun.
It is. It's really fun. And there's great people here. It's a lot like St. Louis.
Except you don't cut your bagels the way we cut our bagels.
Oh my gosh, what is going on with that?
And you don't have Prevail cheese, thank God.
Oh my God. Uno pizza. Oh my God. That's the one thing I just could not get into was that pizza.
That emos. No, I'm not a Prevail person either.
I don't like the way it sticks to your teeth.
It's like Velveeta.
I just said, who the hell thought of putting cheese whip on pizza?
Right.
It wasn't the same person who decided to cut bagels like cake.
Your bagel cutting is now like,
that's a great idea. Yeah,
I don't understand where that came from.
It's a totally great idea.
Let me just, so my mother, I grew up in a household where my mother was on a diet every single day of my life. I grew up, like, the whole mantra in my head is, don't waste your calories. So if you can have a big old bagel for 350 calories, and you cut it in half and you smear it and you do all the fun stuff and you eat it, that's 350 calories.
Right.
If you can cut it in 20 pieces, I get the
and
same.
Still have the cream cheese on every bite. Yeah, I can get that. I totally get that.
Yeah, and you could use more cream cheese because you have like two sides of each piece.
I mean, let's face it, that's the best part anyway.
Oh,
I'd be all like, smoked salmon and caviar.
Oh my God.
And this way you can also try other flavors, other varieties of the bagel without having
one little slicing. I don't like that. Instead of a whole bagel and then have to pass it on to your husband or your boyfriend or your
right. Well, we like to say we eat things very classy here in St. Louis, and that's just how we
classy, St. Louis.
we eat our bagels. So let's take another quick break. A quick time, and then let's come back. We'll dive a little bit further into this.
Into you.
All right.
Sounds great.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Because I had to take this off my head every now and then.
Can we pee break?
Yeah, go please go pee.
So, Michelle, I'm now getting all kinds of great things out of this one. I am getting strawberry, tart cherry. I am getting all kinds of new depth out of it. Are you?
No. Maybe I could say that now I don't resent the fact that they gave me a package of underwear. It's coming handy.
It's coming handy. And there you go. Yeah.
It's not my favorite.
It might be intentional. Oh, there we go.
Carol should be here.
Okay. Great. I think this is delicious. I think it just needed to be, if I had decanted this, you would have liked it. Do you want to taste mine? Since I've been actively swirling.
I'm fine.
Sam, would you
Actively
take another hit?
swirling. I love that.
Yeah.
Actively swirling.
Yeah.
Emily asked me if I thought it was better now.
I think it is.
And
I mean,
I said-
I've got like strawberry and rosemary and tart cherry and all this good stuff going on now.
I said the only thing I can say is I don't My baby?
Where's your baby now? Yeah. What is he at university already?
No, he'll be 16 in June. He's still at home.
Okay. And where's he going to high school?
He is at Metro High School.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ranked 71st of the nation, #1 in the state.
Nice.
Public high schools. Yeah. It's a great.
What does he think he wants to do?
His interests, they sometimes they change. Like he says now that he's interested in doing like child psychology. But he has this wonderful design eye and I always, part of me is like, I think he's just gonna be like an architect. Or he also is so fascinated by like history and maps and he's been fascinated by maps and for his whole life. And we'll be driving somewhere and he'll say, well, Mom, that this street was actually used to go all the way to the river before the highway came in. I mean, and he's just like looking at these things for himself. So I thought, well, maybe you should do like some kind of history, find some kind of connection with your architecture and your fascination with maps. And, then I said, one day I said, what about being an archaeologist? And he's like, oh, why would I want to be an archaeologist, Mom? I'm like, okay, well, and then I thought, well, maybe an archivist or something. So
yeah.
Yeah, he would like to check out schools on the East Coast, and of course go out west where his sister is, and check out Oregon. And then he has requested that we go down and visit New Orleans because he's considering Tulane or Loyola.
We could do something with Lola.
We could.
I'm already like, I'm going on that trip.
Well, and I told William, I said, well, and I said, New Orleans is different. I mean, I said, I think you'd love it, but it is hot. And Loyola and Tulane are expensive. So, you need to make sure.
The good Jesuit universities. Come on, baby.
They are. And I have plenty of friends in New Orleans. So from my time at university. So
that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
And he'll end up going wherever he gets the most money to go.
Yeah, I had a niece go through the same thing, and her dad's like, UVA, because your scholarships will be better. UVA.
Yeah. Well, and my son he's very practical. He's a very practical oriented guy, which I think that's why, something like, architecture and design. Except he has a flair, but he's like, Mom, and if I have to, I'll just do 2 years of community college, get those, the core things out of the way, and then I'll transfer on and finish up somewhere else.
My youngest did that because he was the type of child that couldn't see what the job would be unless he was in the job. He's just not, he's a big thinker, but he's not visual in some things. And when it came to his job, he didn't get it. And he said, well, I said, you're just going to community college for 2 years till you figure out, and you get to see all those jobs and you get to talk to people and figure out, I want this, but it's here I'm focused on, because you can still get this monster big degree.
Right.
And not know what you want. And he's not the kind of kid who just loved internships.
We're going to roll back in. All right. Hold this thought. Yeah. And we're back on Clearly Speaking, the podcast. Emily's been forcing me to drink more and more of this wine, thinking eventually I'm going to love it.
I know. I'm pretty wild about it.
And she loves it. And I told her that, in all honesty, it is not my favorite, but I no longer hate the people who gave me the package of panties for Christmas that I didn't ask for. So there you go.
That's a big one.
I mean, it's a little concession here.
I have to say, as an update, as this has opened up, like so much more is coming out. Strawberry, rosemary, tart cherry, like it's really getting more and more complex. I think it's worth a try. So,
well, I want you to make sure that you write this down as something I do not want to receive for my birthday. Coming up.
I think the message has been received. You don't need to send that one in a bottle.
As this is opening up, I'm thinking I'm going back to my 20s.
Oh. Ooh. See, I want more of that kind of wine.
Oh, well, we'll see what we can do for that for the next show.
All right. Well, Rachel, your parents have impacted your writing, your publishing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how have you kind of like either coped with that? I mean, and please let our listeners know, I mean, RachelEllyn.com, but what kind of books you like to write, and the stories and how you're coping.
I am completely the roadmap of what not to do. I'm a publicist's nightmare. I write everything from children's to like chick lit now.
Yeah.
What's all the way to erotica.
Ooh.
It's whatever's going on up here has to come out kind of, here.
Yeah.
My parents have always impacted my writing. My mother was, she has her master's from Cornell in English literature. She was always my first editor. She was always the one that was like, you just go for it, girl. I am the age of the first emails. And when I lived all over the world, email was how I kept in touch with my family. And not so much my family, I would email my father who worked at IBM, because we had this this crazy little system. I'd email him, and then he would then print it out. My mother would mail it to every aunt. So like, here's where Rachel is and what she's doing, because I'm the oldest, needless to say. And that's where we kind of got to it. I had one aunt who kept telling me I had to be an Irma Bondback. I needed a syndicated column. And I'm like, yeah, and how do I do that? And,
Right.
at least now I know, because we've got Google. You can go, how do you become a syndicated columnist? Boom. Back then you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, I'll just keep writing. And so my mom has always been the most supportive person. I found out after my father died, the way my father supported me was he bought stocks in whatever company I was working for.
Oh, how sweet.
Oh my
Isn't
God.
that adorable?
Yeah.
I did not have any idea, but when I started taking over more of the financial responsibility, and I'm like, oh my God, he bought this and he
It
bought
shows
that.
such support for what you were doing. That is just beautiful.
He was a total engineering introvert kind of guy. He played an extrovert well, but he was a total introvert. And I grew up with both parents reading, a gobsnap. I mean, just of books every week. We go to the library, and my parents, I don't know how people can read more than one book at one time, but they could.
Yeah, there are people that can. Yeah.
Oh my God. And they just would. My mother, every Saturday, I take her to the library, and I probably check out 20 books for her.
Currently?
Oh, I love that.
Currently.
Wow.
She is completely happy sitting on a couch reading all of her murder mysteries.
Wow. That is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, it is. I'm like, Mom, you need to be on Goodreads because you can't remember what you read.
So how many books have you yourself written?
I'm up to about 13. I'm working on the 14th one right now. I'm working on a chicklet.
And what is a chicklet, by the way?
It's kind of, women's lit. It's a fictional piece. It's not
like a beach read.
It's a good read. It's not a murder mystery. It's not fantasy. It's not sci-fi. It's just contemporary fiction, but aimed towards women. And this one is kind of, the premise is what happens to a woman who's newly divorced and gets her hands on voodoo.
Oh, this sounds really interesting.
Are you writing from your own personal experience?
So I started thinking it was a little horse. Not from personal experience, maybe from personal dreams.
Yeah.
So are you having to research voodoo for this project?
I am. So it's completely, I need the medical ID bracelet that says delete my browser history.
Exactly.
So what's something that you learned in this research that was maybe like, I don't know, one of the more impressive things that you've learned?
I would probably say the length of time voodoo has been in the world, specifically in the Caribbean area, that it is both male and female, that it's just been ingrained since,
it's fascinating, the history.
It is. It's just amazingly, and the amount of voodoo and what all the different terms and practices, and this book specifically targets the Dominican Republic, because I'm putting it right at the corner of Haiti, and it's just crazy.
So now, have you traveled to the Dominican Republic and research as well? Oh, how fabulous.
28 countries.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. My husband spent all of his traveling on the Far East, and he lived in Japan for 12 years and did all that crazy stuff that I've never been to that side. I've been to Europe and everything else. So it's been fun, because I'm like, look at this, and he's like, oh.
Yeah. So you're in the process of writing it right now, researching it, writing it out, and
yeah, I have to have it finished. This book, this one and one other book I've been writing for 2 years, which normally I'm about 4 books a year. 3 to 4 books a year, and they're children's books, and they're like 3,000 words, so it's much easier. But when you're writing 3,000 words, it's hard to get it that quick and get all the junk done. So this one I figure will come in around 40,000, which you don't think is very much, but for me right now, I have very small time frame to devote to it, because I still I take my mom out every Saturday and probably every Sunday, and we go shopping, and I have such a limited amount of time. I know she won't be here that much longer. And so I'm really just relishing every moment I have with her, because I was that kid who was never the same place that they were.
Yeah.
I was gone, and bless their hearts, they came to visit me in England. They visited me in California. They visited me in Wisconsin. They visited me every place I've ever lived. They came and came to me. My sister, on the other hand, has been in Northern Virginia for her whole entire life. Now, she's traveled immensely, but she's lived in the same place. So I was that kid that just never found it until, because I was missing here.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't the place I was living. It was here.
Right. Well, and then now that you have this opportunity to be with your parents, it's kind of like, I didn't have them for an extended period of time from my 25 to 30 and ask them all those questions or spend that time with them. And now you have this sort of gift to spend with them.
And I'm the kid that my sister adores my mother. Don't get me wrong, but my mother drives her up a tree. I'm the opposite, where I just find my mother wonderful and just adorable. And she's a pistol, and I would love to write about her and talk about her in more open terms, but she's very private. And I told her, the minute you croak, Mom, I am writing a book about you. And she's like, okay.
Right.
Oh.
Okay, so
right now,
for any of all right, so our listeners are out there, they're completely interested in Rachel Ellyn and rachelellen.com. If you were to recommend your top 3 books for them to start out on reading your materials, which ones would it be? And then with the voodoo book, we're probably looking at 18 months before it would be in print?
Oh, no. I have a New York editor online for this month.
Okay.
Who's reviewing it. It should be out by June.
Wow.
Oh, that's exciting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really excited with that. I don't even have the cover. I have not, I normally wake up one day and I'm like, I just know exactly what the cover should kind of look like. And then I hand it over to an artist that I adore, and he comes up with amazing work, which is one of the most fun things I can do in what I do now, is I work with these unbelievably gifted people. And so I'm there, I'm like this close to it, and she's going to take it here in the next week and tweak the jeebers out of it. And I don't think I'm going to sell this one to I'm not going to shop it.
Okay.
I'm going straight to production, and because my book Pixie Shoes, which is a middle grade kind of beginner chapter, a little bit better than beginner, so 2nd, 3rd grade chapter read, that I got to Amazon bestseller, so I know I can do it. This one is adult fiction. I swear to God, I'm going to challenge. My husband's like, I don't know about 100,000. I go, I'll fucking get a tattoo on my ass of a voodoo doll if I do 100,000 books. And he's like, deal. And I'm like, all right, so your ass is doing this. So yeah, I think I'm going to challenge the world for 100,000 books, and I'll tattoo my ass on it. Although it's old. My ass is old. And it probably isn't what you want to see, but I will do it live if I get to 100,000.
Oh, well, you're a brave woman.
So I have a question for you, Rachel. You are so vibrant and clearly outgoing, but I understand that being a writer can be very insular. Like you're at home, you're all alone when you're going through that process. How do you balance that? Here you are having to be inside yourself in a quiet space to write. Meanwhile, you're so vivacious, and clearly I can tell that you get something from being around others.
I have 2 favorite spots to write. There was a bar I loved to go to, and I could sit in a back corner and watch everything And there's something about ambient noise that isn't my own. If I were to put on a music right now, I would be like, into the music and I can't write. So I go out to a bar, I get a cup of coffee, I get a glass of wine, possibly a scotch, and I sit there for an hour and I crank out 1,500, 2,000 words and have a great night. Otherwise, I go downstairs to my basement and I literally put on horror movies.
Whoa.
I have watched
for your ambient noise
20 or 40 times. And I can write a chapter in an hour without any issue. I've watched Ellyn, all of them.
Yeah.
50 times. Final Destination.
So are you an old school horror film fanatic or
all over the board?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Wow.
What's your favorite horror film, Michelle?
I am not a horror film person. I'm not. And I'm not. My go-to to write was I would put on the Ray LaMontagne station.
Oh yeah, that's very
I would
peaceful.
I would just write to that. I mean, I could totally churn out a bunch of stuff when that was on. Anything else, I would be.
You just couldn't.
I just couldn't. So
you're like whoop 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 whoop. I have friends who literally sit in the car in the park writing. I have friends who have to have a desk and absolutely no noise. And I am more of the dark and stormy night, ambient noise. Give me a glass of wine.
Really?
Let me just sit there. Mm-hmm.
So what's your favorite horror film, Rachel?
Oh, my favorite? Right now, oh my God, I have so many. This is like asking me what my favorite chocolate is. Okay, Ellyn is my go-to. I love just the campiness of Final Destination. Zombieland's amazing. World War Z is fabulous. I know, Cabin in the Woods. Oh my God, that took everything. Horror and sci-fi.
So scary. That gave me nightmares.
Yeah.
Really?
Totally.
Oh, that was so cute where they pop up out of the.
Oh, it's not
grass.
cute. I had a Halloween party and one year, and this was living in a wooded setting, and friends came dressed up as those characters, but they hung out in the woods first. We need to pause. We're having an issue. Okay. Yeah. Can you remind me of where I was? Cabin in the Woods. Okay.
Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
Friends hung out in the woods with those costumes.
Got it. Okay, so we're rolling back in. Yeah, so I think that movie is absolutely terrifying.
I've never seen it.
Oh
Are you kidding me? It is so campy. It is wonderful.
So I had a Halloween party one year. I used to throw these Halloween parties every year, and every year they just got bigger and bigger, and people were very committed to their costumes. And one year, this was when I was living in a very wooded setting, friends came as those characters and positioned themselves in the woods all throughout the night. And we started seeing these people, and eventually they came in and were a part of the party, but it was very terrifying to me.
Awesome.
I would not ever attend another Halloween party at your house.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to share my favorite.
Okay.
Real quick.
Oh, what, please?
Okay. So I have a couple. I'm a very old school horror, the new stuff that gets very gratuitous with gore. I struggle with, but I really loved the original Night of the Living Dead. My great aunts gave that movie to me when I was 6. So, that was my first introduction to horror, which was terrifying at first, but I grew to love it. And then a movie that a friend introduced me to a few years ago that I just love is The Bad Seed.
Yes.
I've not heard of it.
Yes.
So this is kind of a harken back to our very first episode.
Oh, okay.
It's like a child sociopath.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it is wonderful. So those are my picks. Yeah.
That is so funny.
Well,
I have these scars on my face from Night of the Living Dead.
What? So what were you like, clawing at your face? What was going on?
I was 16. I was at my best friend's house in Virginia. We had a couple of guys over and we were drinking beer.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
And so they said, hey, let me take you home, right? And we're like, yeah, okay. So I don't remember the car, but it was like a Cutlass or a Rambler or whatever. And there's 3 of us in the front seat, of course, me in the middle. And I was only a half a mile from my girlfriend's house, maybe 3/4 mile. And you got to remember, this is Washington, D.C. It's horse country. It's really small roads. And they were like, okay, so we're driving along, with that big old steering wheel. And they said, where's your house? And I said, right there. And they followed my finger.
Oh, no.
Down off the road and up into the
God.
In front of the church.
They landed in front of the church?
In a telephone pole in front of the church.
Oh my God.
So we walked home and walked up the dirt road past the ghost house. There was this beautiful, it is now like, a $4 million house, but back then when I was a kid, it was a ghost house that was completely desolate. Oh, it was crazy. Walked down to my house. My uncle, God bless him, my Uncle Don, who was an alcoholic, was asleep on my couch. I walk in, unbeknownst to me, I have blood dripping down my face, dripping down through here, right? Yeah. And we walk in and we're like, we wrecked the car, right? It wasn't my car, thank God. And my uncle goes, go to the bathroom and clean yourself up while I take care of the boys. And the boys, got on the house phone, because back then no cell phones. Right? Got on the house phone. They got friends to come get with a chain and take the car and take it back to wherever. And my uncle's like, I'm going to wake your mom and dad up and you just sit here for a minute. Meanwhile, I'm noticing in the mirror that my tongue can come out.
You were definitely the star of your own horror story.
Best thing about it, we go to the hospital and there's a plastic surgeon on call in the ER. So my mom was like, oh my God, thank God there's a plastic surgeon. You're going to be okay.
Well, that is quite the story.
I'm a living dead for me.
Sweet 16 story there.
Yeah. And for our listeners out there, the moral of the story is you're not supposed to be drinking beer when you're 16.
No, you're not. Or at least have a plastic surgeon in the ER.
Always have or find the ER that has a plastic surgeon in it.
Make sure your drunk uncle is on the couch when you come home with blood.
The advice of the day.
Right.
Wow.
Well, this has been awesome, Rachel. We are going to provide links to your website off of ours, and you'll send us those videos. And I'm looking forward to reading your new book when it's out in June.
It is absolutely the best writing I've done. I'm so thrilled.
We can't wait.
Fantastic. Absolutely. It's exciting.
Yeah. Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, you guys.
Delightful conversation.
Absolutely. And all of you listeners out there, be sure to go to our iTunes and all of the places that we have. We're on your, where you get your podcast from. Please like us and share it and 5-star us, because that's the way that other people can discover Clinically Speaking, the podcast. Follow us on all of our socials.
That's right.
And
buy the wine.
Buy the wine. And I know that Emily has the phone number.
Ooh, do I?
Memorized.
Let's try it.
Right?
I think, is it 812-727-0794?
That's
awesome.
So good.
All right.
So we will be back next week here on Clinically Speaking, the podcast. Thanks again, Rachel.
Cheers
to you.
Cheers. Cheers, ladies. Cheers. Woo!